Can we start? I think we can. Yeah. Thank you very much. So, can we start? Yes.
Yep.
So I would like to welcome everybody. And this is the joint meeting of the European Parliament's Friends of Democratic Belarus, the group which is informal in European Parliament, with similar groups from the national parliaments. Especially, I would like to welcome the leaders of the group, which are with the long tradition working in Ukrainian, Lithuanian, and Polish parliament, in both houses in Sejm and Senate. And I would like also invite and welcome our prominent guests, leaders of Democratic Belarus society, especially Svetlana Cichanowska, who is leading coordination committee. She is with us. So I'm very happy that again we can see each other and have discussion together. And Paweł Latuszka, who is a head of National Anti-Crisis Management. We have Paweł Latuszka also with us today. Starting our meeting, I would like to thank you all for adoption of the statement we would like to publish tomorrow, because tomorrow is very important Belarus Freedom Day. This is the eve of this special day, which is very important for our Belarusian friends. So feel free to use this statement, to use this announcement in press, also in our communication. Let's free to use it as you would like to use. I would like to emphasize in the end of my introduction that, of course, the most important thing is the solidarity with a brave nation, with the Belarusians who are fighting for freedom. Thousands of them, they are on the streets, many in prisons, they are beaten, they are in dramatic situation. So our solidarity has to be continued. Our actions have to be continued. Also, this is obvious for me that the fight for Belarusian democracy will be continuing by our Belarusian brave guests. We have to be together. Tomorrow is a special day, so many actions will be taken also in Brussels, in our national parliaments, in our countries. But it is very important to be together all the time in direct daily contact. I would like to ask my friend Andrius Kubilius, who is co-chair of the European Parliament's Friends for Democratic Belarusian Group, to say several words for the introduction too, and then I will give the floor to our Belarusian honorable guests. Andrius, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks a lot, Andrzej. Thanks a lot. Really, it's a privilege and honor to be part of this very important event, very symbolic event. And really, it's a pleasure to see, all our friends, first of all, from Belarus, Svetlana, really, laba diena. It's really a pleasure to see Paweł Latuszka. I see Alexander Dobrovolsky, Olga Kovalkova. I don't know, maybe somebody else on the screen. I do not see the whole screen, but that's really a pleasure to congratulate you with Belarusian Independence Day, first of all. Second, really, it's a pleasure to see colleagues from European Parliament. I see Ludas, Sandra, and perhaps several else somewhere, So really, it's great, and also very, very good to see, members of different. Oh, Juozas, I forgot Juozas. I see Juozas here, and really pleasure to see members from different parliaments, national parliaments. So there is nothing to say, very much. It's really tomorrow is a very important day, not only for Belarus. Belarusian Independence Day is really day of celebration of Belarusian freedom, and the day when we are feeling a lot of, really very cordial feelings in our hearts of solidarity with the people of Belarus, with democratic Belarus, with the leaders who are fighting, like Svetlana and Pavel, who are fighting despite all the, brutality of Lukashenka regime. And I am absolutely sure, next year we shall celebrate this day, in free Minsk, with all, your national flags, with all, I don't know, songs, dances, and so on and so on. That's our hope and our dream, and absolute, I'm sure that will happen. This is how history, is moving forward, and you are doing a great job, not only for Belarus itself. We see how much you are inspiring, other people to follow, your brave fight, including in Russia itself, and that is, we know how big price you are paying, how many political prisoners are in jail. We know what the brutal regime Lukashenka is how he is behaving, but it's obvious that democracy will win and this regime will lose. And what we can do, and what we are saying in declaration very clearly, after all our experience, since 9th of August of your elections, which Lukashenka have stolen, we see that, we were learning what the Western community, what in the Western community we can do, how to assist. And we were looking for different, measures for how to support, those who are on strikes, how to support civil society, and so on and so on. But we now, with our declarations, we are appealing to all the leaders of Western democratic world, to leaders of national governments, to leaders of G7, to bring one clear, thing: new free elections in Belarus. And it's much better to do it before 9th of August, to have really, in some way symbolically, 9th of August, to have as a day when you will be able to celebrate, your freedom. So that's our very clear demand. Of course, free elections are not possible to have without freedom for political prisoners, but that is what the Western community leaders needs to deliver. We are not talking about in which way, who should negotiate, who should make pressure, who should, whatever, will do, but that is what is needed to be done. And also what we see as very important, that support for such very clear demands should come not only from European Parliament and from traditional community of the friends of Belarus who gathered today here. It would be very important that what we have now, we have people from European Parliament, we have good friends of Democratic Belarus from Polish two parliaments, from Lithuanian Parliament, from Ukrainian Parliament. This is what we can call, history is playing important role. But we also have, we see a lot of activities in Czech Parliament. So we are happy to see also, representatives of Czech Parliament. And then, of course, it would be very good if we should, be able to reach to other parliaments, at least starting from European Union, in order really to have similar groups in all the parliaments. And of course, it would be very good to have, good cooperation with the people who are in a very strong solidarity with Democratic Belarus in United States Congress, in Canada, in other democracies. That is what we need to do in order really to achieve this very clear, very, I would say, very important goal and target: new free elections in Belarus during this year, better before 9th of August. I hope that it will happen. All the best. Живе Belarus, for your freedom and our freedom. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Andrius. So without further delay, I would like, let me reiterate again, my gratitude to our Belarusian colleagues, friends, especially to Svetlana Cichanowska. Having in mind your agenda, I would like to ask you to say several words. Svetlana, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and dear friends of Belarus. I'm really glad to speak to you on this remarkable occasion. Tomorrow is Belarusian Freedom Day, and annually Belarusians are gathering in great numbers to commemorate the independence of the Belarusian People's Republic. And it is a very important date for the whole nation. But this year it is even more meaningful, because it has been 7 months since the Belarusians said enough is enough to Alexander Lukashenka and his regime. And these 7 months have seen a real political awakening of Belarus. These 7 months have become a time of maturity for our protest movement. And these 7 months have seen ups and downs, but we haven't given up. And Belarusians have proven to themselves and to the whole world that they can and will decide their own destiny. We will return freedom and rule of law to our country, and we are working hard towards this goal every day. That is why it is so important that many people all over the world support us not only tomorrow on our Freedom Day, but every day by keeping Belarus high on the agenda. Last week, I announced a vote to support negotiations on the peaceful transition of power with the international mediation of the UN and OSCE. Within 1 week, 700,000 people voted in favor. People are waiting on the change, and they want to achieve it through peaceful dialogue. Since Belarus is a full member of both UN and OSCE, these platforms are critical for resolving the political crisis in our country. We need to remind ourselves that 7 months later, we have almost 300 political prisoners behind bars and only 88 responsible individuals and 7 related organizations on the EU sanctions list. We need to ensure the release of these 300 hostages of the regime immediately and unconditionally. Almost every day, new names are added to this list. Almost every day, another appalling sentence is handed down by another judge in another court. And these sentences mean years of prison for hundreds of people who did nothing wrong besides wanting to live in a free country. And these are not just numbers. These are real people with real stories. For example, Igor Losik is a famous blogger whose plea for justice has been made heard in Brussels when he announced a hunger strike and attempted suicide. But his plea still hasn't been heard in Minsk. And every time you read another news update or briefing about Belarus, please imagine just for a minute that you know these people. And what if it was your friend, your family member, your loved one? What if you had no idea what is happening to them at the moment or what awaits them? And what if this happened to the whole country? Over 2,500 people have been targeted by criminal cases during the election campaign and in the post-election period. And this gives you an idea of how fast the list of political prisoners will be extended in the nearest future. Will the same happen to the EU sanction list for the real criminals? Justice, human rights, freedom, these are the values that drive us. I hear strong words of support in the EU statements and report. Your initiative to create the Friends of Belarus groups with the European Parliament and in different countries is extremely important. Your patronage of political prisoners, letters to them are extremely valuable. Together with you, we need to make sure the EU goes from strong words to decisive actions. And there is a lot to act upon. And we need to see a comprehensive 4th package of sanctions passed as soon as possible. It should include high and middle ranking officials, judges, entrepreneurs, and companies known for supporting the regime, or dismissing their employees for participation in strikes. And we need to make sure the EP high-level mission happens. It will show that the EU is serious about its solidarity and support. And we need to make sure that the working group on Belarus within the Euronest Parliamentary Assembly becomes a platform where true representatives of people of Belarus can discuss with the European Parliament the ways out of the crisis. We need to make sure that a real international investigation into the regime's crimes is conducted as soon as possible to finally end the impunity. We need to make sure that the EU comprehensive plan for Belarus provides sufficient support for the transition and reform process in Belarus. And we need to make sure that civil society, independent media, youth, and small businesses are provided with the assistance they need. We need to make sure that the families of political prisoners and people who had to flee the country are supported by all means possible. There are many challenges on the international arena, but we cannot allow fatigue over Belarus within the EU. We will stay the course, and on this path, we need you, the friends of Belarus. Belarusians are strong-willed, and we are looking forward towards a genuine Belarusian spring. So let's welcome it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to emphasize once again, we are with you. We will be with you. We are, as somebody said, you are neighbors, but we are living in the same house. This is our Europe. We have to have the same possibility to be free, to live as we would like to live. And you can count on us. We will support you all the time. We are impressed and really incredible determination. It's for us also an inspiration. So
thank you for these words. Thank you.
Thank you too. And I would like to give the floor to our next speaker, the leader of anti-crisis management, a special body, a special group of Belarusian leaders who are working on the questions how to organize the life after the regime. Paweł Latuszka. Paweł Latuszka is with us. Paweł, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, Svetlana. Dear Mr. Chairman, our friends, esteemed members of the European and national parliaments, dear friends of Belarus. At the very outset, I would like to express our sincere gratitude for the initiative to organize a meeting of the informal group of friends of Democratic Belarus, which is devoted to the very special date in our national calendar, the date of freedom. After 7.5 months of peaceful protests, it should be stated that the people of Belarus have already demonstrated the great courage and determination in demand of their fundamental rights and freedoms. And we are still fighting to reach our main objectives, to stop violence and impunity, to release the political prisoners, to launch an inclusive dialogue for the peaceful solution of the political crisis. In this context, the Day of Freedom on March 25th is a trigger date which should start our Victory Spring 2021. We're beginning the campaign when the illegitimate regime of Lukashenka sticks forcefully to the power and continues to build up repressions, ignoring all the calls of the international community and terrorizing the population in Belarus. To ensure that your group has an accurate and up-to-date understanding of the full scale of the brutal repression happening in Belarus, I will give you some latest and sad facts summarizing 230 days of peaceful protests. About 35,000 persons detained, more than 150 per day. At least 9 persons killed during the peaceful protests. Over 500 documented cases of tortures. Up to 2,000 claims against the illegal actions of the police. Around 2,500 criminal investigations launched by the investigation committee against the protesters. Almost 300 political prisoners, and 0 cases against the brutal actions of the law enforcement forces. These figures may look like casualties in the time of war, but unfortunately, this is a reality we are facing every day. In fact, Lukashenka has already declared a civil war against its own people, Belarusian people, not his people, and even issued secret orders to mobilize the military units in order to suppress the massive protests. He is building a concentration camp in the center of Europe, which may have very far-reaching consequences not only for neighboring countries, but for the regional stability and security of Europe. Tomorrow it is our historical day. It's a day of our freedom. And Belarusian people, of course, will celebrate this very important day. It is impossible to imagine independent Belarus not free, without of respect of human rights. Independence without freedom of Belarusian people is impossible. Solidarity, of course, is also very important, and we hear words of solidarity from European politicians, European structures. But I support in 100% Svetlana Tikhanovskaya's words that it's time to act. Time to act, it's very important to understand. Dear friends, we have come to a point where famous saying, a friend in need is a friend indeed, occurs a very significant meaning. Yes, Belarusians are in need to restore their constitutional rights, in need to bring home the innocent people jailed for peaceful protests, in need to return law and order to our daily life. We are in need of very specific and targeted external actions from outside to enforce the legitimate regime in Belarus, to stop the terror against the people and start a political dialogue. And here it comes for our friends in need. Indeed, we thank wholeheartedly all our friends who are present at this meeting or view this stream, who publish stories and make manifestations around the world, who support the democratic forces of Belarus and the victims of repressions. We appeal to all of you, be more united, keep Belarus in the focus of the political agenda, promote the proposal of launching targeted sanctions against the regime of Lukashenka, which would lead to an inclusive national dialogue in search of peaceful and democratic solution of the political crisis in Belarus. We understand that everything is in our hands. Everything depends on Belarusian people, but international solidarity also is very important. We are confident that with our joint efforts, the people of Belarus will manage to defend its course and ensure that our country will become free and democratic in the near future. Long live Belarus! Живе Belarus!
This is the answer which should be very loud today. I would like to agree with you. The action is needed, and this is the reason why we are also connecting with national parliaments. Why we would like to organize stronger pressure on European institutions, because more actions are needed, but also more sanctions have to be done to have this pressure stronger and to have the changes, to achieve the changes. I would like to inform you that we have a list of more than 100 members of the parliaments, different parliaments. Also today are connected with us, not only the leaders of this three mentioned group in Polish, Ukrainian and Lithuanian parliament, but also our friends, colleagues from the parliament from Czech Republic, Italy, France, Germany, so also from other countries. So the list is very long, and I hope that will be permanent cooperation between us, because not only pressure on European institutions is needed, also on national governments. And I think it is good examples that we can sit together, of course, in a limited format because of the pandemic, but I think also very important that we can talk with between ourselves and have some kind of coordination of these actions. So I would like to give the floor to leaders of our organized friendship of Democratic Belarus groups, starting with our Lithuanian friend Zigimaitas Pavilonis. Zigimaitas, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Do you hear me well?
Yes, very well.
Great. Well, I'm speaking from the heart of Lithuanian parliament, where freedom was defended 30 years ago. And I was then just a diplomat, but it was very important then 30 years ago to have those solidarity statements and support from international community. It took more than a year to defend our freedom and to have those international recognitions, but we did it, and it shaped the history of the whole, I would say even continent. It was the beginning of the end of the Soviet Union. So those who want to be part of the history this year, please unite on this call to free and fair elections in Belarus. This year is crucial. It might go very wrong, like it went some time ago in Georgia and Ukraine. The country might be annexed. We could have different geopolitical repercussions that will impact the whole region, or it might go very positive. After long years of democracy decline in the region, we can save the souls of 10 millions of Europeans, of the country that Timothy Snyder was calling the bloodlands of bloodlands, that suffered the most from all authoritarian regimes, be it fascist, be it communist, now Lukashenka, a regime with a huge support of Putin. So we must and we can and we will do it. Why I'm saying like this, together with President Svetlana and a lot of other friends of Belarus, we just 2 days ago, we made a so-called Kalinowski conference in which all big capitals were speaking. Washington, Paris, London, Brussels, Berlin, Ottawa, Stockholm, all regional capitals. And from all capitals, I felt they agree with those elections. So my proposal is very clear. So after this event, and actually each day, each hour, let's fight for one goal, new elections. Let's create groups. Well, I would say for us, special forces for those elections, and let's go to key capitals together. Washington, D.C., it's difficult to go on the Hill, but we can do it together. Let's go to Berlin and let's make it happen. It's doable. And let's be part of the history. like once the heroes of Lithuanian independence were doing 30 years ago. We remember you all, so let's change it. Let's share this hope, not only to Belarusians, but for all other nations still suffering and fighting autocratic regimes, because EU is the best platform to do it. We can do it. We are the best. And let's shine by example. Let's inspire the people. Let's do not allow to humiliate their human dignity. If we are Europeans, if we really believe our values, it's time to act, not only speak. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I see Alexei Goncharenko is with us. No? Yes. You have to unmute.
Hello.
Yes, the floor is yours.
Yes.
Alexei.
Thank you very much. I just took off from Kalinowski conference, the Great Mask. Thank you, Zhygimontas, Achu, and hello to everybody. And I'm really happy to see all of you, and especially our Belarus friends. By the way, I once again heard the words Belarusian, Belarussia. I just want to address everybody. There is no such country, Belarusia. It's Putin. He tries to make a hybrid annexation of Belarusia. We have Belarus and Belarus people, and we support Belarus people, and there are no Belarusian people. And we know this because this is a completely independent and proud nation, which we are honored to be friends of. And I would like to, first of all, say thank you to our Belarus friends for struggle of their people, really very brave struggle. Secondly, I would like to say the words of support, obviously. Thirdly, I would like to address all of us. Very important words in our joint statement that let's address other parliaments to create groups for democratic Belarus in these parliaments, because it's not enough to have such groups in Ukraine, Lithuania, and Poland. We need to have such groups in Latvia, Estonia. We need to have such group in Czechia, in France, in Germany, and in other countries. And I'm sure our friends can do this. And when can make a real network of parliamentarian groups for democratic Belarus. Also, as a member of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, I think that we need to create an informal group for democratic Belarus in the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, and to work there also. Also, I would like to address all of us to try to push our governments and EU institutions to make new sanctions. Really, the fourth package should be on the table as soon as possible. Also, I would like to raise the question of Belarus atomic electric station, which is a threat for the whole region, and which is today one of the pillars on which the regime stays. That's also important. And probably the most important is certainly the situation with Putin, which is now with support of whom Lukashenka still survives for the moment. And without support of Putin, he would very, very quickly. And I think we need also to have a sanctions against Russian Federation for what they're doing in Belarus, and to prevent the hybrid Anschluss for Belarus, which is unfortunately, with what I see, is on the way. And the only forces who can stop it is us, our network of friends of Belarus, and on the first place, certainly the Belarus people themselves. And I'm sure they can do this. So I think that is important questions, and we need to raise them as soon as possible on all our levels. And please, colleagues from other parliaments, if you can help me to contact with your colleagues from the Parliamentary Assembly to create such group in Parliamentary Assembly on the April session, I think it would be great. And yes, our aim is to have an elections in the nearest months, appointed in Belarus, free and fair elections. That's the only way. And thank you to everybody. Let's keep strong. Let's believe in the victory, and it should come. Thank you very much. Живе Belarus.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. Thank you very much for your remarks also at the very beginning. It's very important not to mix these two things. Well, we have Robert Tyszkiewicz and Marcin Bosacki. They are connected from Polish Parliament, Sejm and Senate.
Hannah, we can go. Everybody is on the board?
Alex, if you can unmute. Oh, okay, super. Robert Tyszkiewicz, my very close friend, and Marcin Bosacki, we know each other even from underground in Poland, so very long story of the cooperation. Robert Tyszkiewicz, the floor is yours.
From Polish side, Senator Marcin Bosacki, please.
And Marcin Bosacki, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andrzej. It's great to see so many friends of Democratic Belarus. On behalf of Polish group of support for Belarus, and very active one since 2005, but especially since the dramatic events of August last year. We would like to thank you for organizing this event and thank President Cichanouskaya for participating. Our group was influential throughout the years in many activities of Poland under different governments of supporting Democratic Belarus, including establishing of Belsat TV, Radio Racja, or scholarship program of Kalinowski. But especially since August last year, we supported the government and also participated in establishing the government program of solidarity with Democratic Belarus. Although we think it should be even more ambitious and international. And we would like to fully support the proposal of the joint statement, joint declaration. We do not want to add anything to this great text, but we would like to tell you about one factor which is new, which is another black chapter in this last very sad period in Belarus history, which is again the violent acts and prosecutions against ethnic minorities, namely the biggest minority, which is Poles in Belarus. Just yesterday, the leader, chairwoman of the Association of Poles in Belarus, Angelika Borys, was arrested, and today she was sentenced for 15 days in prison, which is of course not the harshest of all possible punishments in Belarus in the last few months, but nonetheless, this is new development that ethnic minorities are being punished again. You know, all of us are on the eve of Belarus Freedom Day saying Żyje Białoruś. And this is true. We all say long live free Belarus, but Belarus will not be alive, will not be free without increased pressure from our governments and from European institutions on Belarus regime, including more personal sanctions. And it will not be alive and it will not be free if not increased level of support for our brave, heroic Belarusian friends. So we all must do with our governments and with European institutions to increase this pressure and this support. Thank you very much from Warsaw. Thanks, Andrzej, and thank you all the friends from around Europe.
Thank you, colleagues. I would like to add also for your information, because I'm well informed in this scenario. Tomorrow in Warsaw, we'll have a special event on Belarus Freedom Day in Polish Senate. So you will have another occasion to support the solidarity, to say the solidarity and all support for all the Belarusians during these days. Thank you very much. This is a good moment to mention that in our discussion, we shouldn't be limited. Everyone who wishes to speak shall have a chance, but I would like to mention and to emphasize that all the speakers should use the chat box, because then I will see the list of potential speakers, and then I will give the floor to all of you who would like to speak. So you are kindly asked to write the name or to raise a hand. I've seen the first, my very good friend, Emmanuel Zingeris. So Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
It's
nice to see you. I am happy to see you.
Nice to see you. Such a joy to see you and to say you thank you, Mr. Halitsky, dear Andrzej, for the years and years of your personal support and contribution to the democracy in the region. I know you, I don't know, for decades and in your all possible conditions. So thank you, Andrzej, for being with the right to people to stay without any fear, not to be scared by any KGB guys in the morning knocking on your doors. So thank you so much for your leadership. From my point of view, I would like to say, dear Andrzej, that we should do, and dear President-elect Madam Tikhanovskaya and other, that we need to do something more. We just have 5 points declared by our Kalinovsky Forum during last days, with including people like Franek Vechorko, who was together, Tolik Lebedko, of course, Belatsky, and other friends who were crossing the border, Lithuanian border, 170 kilometers from Vilnius. You have Minsk, and you have feeling like you are in Berlin West in the 60s, 70s, and you have Berlin Wall there. So you are like crossing Checkpoint Charlie in Berlin. And now we are overbooked, like, you know, by political emigre people and political freedom fighters from Russia, and greatly spoke Vladimir Karamurza in the name of Russian Democrats, supporting Belarusian revolution and accepting the leadership of Belarus, and Madam Tikhanovskaya, like a leader from Russian Democrat side, and talking, of course, about Navalny. But in this case, we should do something more. We should probably think, dear Chairman, dear Andrzej, about European Union, and probably how to add visa waiver program, like a new step, and open the border simply. If you can, initiate together with Andrew Kubilius and with other friends, initiate simple with Petros Ostravicius, of course, to initiate the resolution and to adopt the stand of all fractions to open the borders for Belarusian people. It will be the best gift for simple Belarusian people to cross the border, to have enjoy possibility. It was done by us, if you remember, for our Georgian friends. It was done by for Ukrainian. Ukraine is about 40 million people, and we were so glad to open the borders. And it was done for Moldovan people too, for Moldova. So in their line to do something more and to open borders for Belarusians will be best answer to this terrible terrorist regime in Minsk, sheltering Belarusians, sheltering them in European Union Schengen space. And especially now, I would like to say that idea just pointed by you, Andrzej, and by Mr. Latushko, and especially by President-elect Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, to establish in every parliament, a working group in every national parliament of European Union country. The working group, like it's done, of course, in our parliament, Bežygis Paviljonis, is done in your honorable parliament in Poland, and established in 28 countries the contact group, and done to establish the informational centers. We will information centers in every capital by, of course, by Svetlana and the leadership of Belarusian elected people like Tikhonovskaya, and information centers aside of Belarusian captive embassies. Well, they're captive by regime, and we should have free voices. If you remember, Solidarność and Lithuanian scientists in 88, 89 have information centers in Washington, D.C., in New York. Solidarność have such center in the United States, in Chicago, and we should have such centers. So from my point of view, tomorrow will be a great day. If I would like to say, Żywe Belarus, but remembering the story of 1918, 1920, when in the former capital, temporary capital Kaunas, were shifted all Belarusian independent governments, Belaruska Hromada, and it was done in Kaunas after Bolsheviks expelled Belarusian government from Minsk, 1918, 1920. And it was the days of my grandfather in Kaunas, Lithuania. Now we will avoid this terrible fate, and we will celebrate in independent and democratic Belarus the colors of black, red, of white, red, white colors, who means for us democracy. So, Andrzej, I would like to extend the remembrance of our success from the 90s, Sąjūdis, Solidarność. I was active member, and Bronislaw Geremek, Adam Michnik, and other Marek Karp and other friends were, Marek Nowakowski were friends who supported us. I remember Solidarność headquarters to support Baltic Revolution. Now we need, with some delay, to do the same for Belarusian Democrats. We need to do everything that they will be stopping terror inside of Belarus. And thank you for your huge dedication, Andrzej. Thank you.
Thank you for these important points, and thank you for your intervention. We have many friends who would like to speak. I have a long list. So starting with our Czech friends, Marek Hilscher, the floor is yours. Are we connected? Marek was on the list. If he is not connected, I would like to ask Volha Kowalkova from Belarusian Coordination Council. Volha is with us, and she would like also to say some words to us. Volha.
Добрый день. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello.
Добрый день всем. Рада всех приветствовать. Виола, Сандра, Раса особенно. Добрый день, коллеги.
Hello, everyone, and I would like to greet all of you who I know personally, Sandra, Rasa, everyone, Viola.
Конечно, ситуация в Беларуси, к сожалению, политическая ситуация в Беларуси, к сожалению, не улучшается. Мы видим нарастание политического кризиса, и, наверное, такой сложной ситуации в преддверии и празднования 25 марта у нас еще не было.
Unfortunately, the situation in Belarus is not getting better. The political crisis increases in Belarus. We haven't seen such a situation before on the eve of 25th March. Previously, none of the years we haven't seen such a pressure.
Однако 25 марта очень часто мы праздновали протестными акциями, несанкционированными акциями, и в 2017 году были брутальные задержания людей, которые вышли праздновать в этот день.
It's not new that we celebrate Freedom Day without permission of the authorities. It's been rare when they allowed a celebration by the people. For example, in 2017, we were celebrating against the big numbers of police in the center and many detentions there were cruel detentions during that day.
К сожалению, последние репрессии последних месяцев и задержания не дают повода усомниться в том, что завтра также, скорее всего, будут предприняты репрессии против мирных граждан.
Unfortunately, the repressions of the last days and weeks do not give us ground to think that tomorrow we will have another situation. We unfortunately expect again detentions and brutality from the regime.
И, конечно, в случае, если это произойдет, я прошу вашей реакции на данное событие.
And therefore, I would like to ask you to react smoothly to the fact of violence from the regime and to be quick in these reactions.
Я также рада, что сегодня на этой встрече присутствуют депутаты национальных парламентов, поскольку один из моих месседжей важный с октября прошлого года — это организация групп по Беларуси в национальных парламентах стран и организация слушаний по Беларуси в этих парламентах с приглашением белорусской стороны.
I'm very happy to hear and see here members of national parliaments, because from October 2020 I've been working to encourage creation of such groups in partner parties and organizations.
И, конечно же, это попечительство над политическими заключенными со стороны политиков, депутатов. И я благодарю депутатов Европарламента за видео, которое снято в поддержку на этой неделе.
And also the support of political prisoners by the members of national parliaments, the godfathership and mothership of political prisoners, and videos that you share are very important.
И, конечно, борьба за свободу в Беларуси не дается легким путем, но мы по нему идем, и нам важна ваша солидарность, и я не буду отнимать много вашего времени, и благодарю, поскольку мои коллеги уже много чего сказали. Спасибо.
And freedom is very important for us. I will not take any more of your time. My colleagues have said enough, and I thank you at this point.
Наша задача продолжать экономическое, международное и общественное давление внутри страны для того, чтобы политические заключенные были освобождены и белорусский народ участвовал в новых свободных выборах.
Our task is continue political, economic, and information pressure so that our political prisoners will be free and changes will come in Belarus.
И последнее голосование, вот кампания, инициированная Светланой Тихановской на «Голосе», показывает, что люди не сдаются, и мобилизационный потенциал белорусского общества очень высок, и люди в Беларуси сегодня точно так же готовы бороться за свои права, как и 7 месяцев назад.
The latest voting initiative on the platform Golos, started by Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, shows that mobilization potential of Belarusians is very high, and people are ready to continue the work for freedom.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roja. Thank you for your information and intervention. The next speaker is Sandra Kaniete from Latvia, and then Andrei Kovarik. So Sandra, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Andrzej, and dear Belarusian friends. Yes, we stand in solidarity with you, but that is really too little what we are able to do, because those who you've seen here, we are Belarusian friends. But what you really need, that this circle with every next day becomes larger. With us, it's too little. For instance, it is expected that the President of the United States will address EU Council. And I think we have Prime Minister Šimonīte, who is from EPP party. We have a Latvian Prime Minister. That would be the right moment to speak about Belarusian crisis and how important it is that the United States, with all its might, push Lukashenko to sit at the negotiation table. I admire that already more than 700,000 Belarusians voted at the goals for the peaceful negotiations, because that is the most promising way also to acquire more and more friends among international community. This is what you really need, because there are too many political crises in the world currently, and the major one, which is COVID pandemic. And that is not the best what Belarus needs now. If there would be more opportunity for personal contacts, I believe that the chances would be much, much higher. And getting back, it's not a good style, I know, to get back to revolutionary youth. But I will do that not because of myself, but because of experience, what I had, like also Emanuelis and Pavilonis and others. What is important, the manifestation of political will of Belarusian people. This you are doing permanently. And now when spring is almost there, it is important that these manifestations are going on with even stronger force, because politicians in democratic countries, they are mostly under pressure of the images and sympathies from their own voters. And for instance, in Baltic Revolution, there are two crucial turning points. The first one was Baltic Way, when they saw that three small nations will really want back our independence. And another moment was Bloody January 91, when we were attacked and thousands people non-violently resisted. That turned the public opinion in the Western countries in favor. Before, we were called nationalists, extremists. Happily, at least, Belarusians are not called names, only by Lukashenka and other dictators. That is a great positive strength of your image. And please keep that dignity, and you can rely on us. I will speak with my Prime Minister today, asking him if it is possible, of course, because I have no idea what is the scenario President's speech when he will address. Will he listen also to the debate after that he addresses the Belarusian crisis? And I hope also that our very influential Lithuanian colleagues, they can speak with Prime Minister Šimonytė, also asking to mention, I'm not addressing Polish friends. You are in a very difficult situation in comparison with us, but we at least can do that. So Volka, all the best to you, dear Volka, endurance, determination, and dignity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandra, for these words. Andrzej Kowarik, our Czech colleagues. Andrzej?
Thank you, Andrzej. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much. And first of all, thank you for the invitation and possibility to address this meeting. I think it's actually a very good, very needed, and initiative that we are taking, and I'm really happy I could be with you today. Dear friends of Belarus, dear honorable guests, dear colleagues from the European Parliament and others. Tomorrow people will commemorate the 103 years since the proclamation of the Belarusian People's Republic. And tomorrow people will again take the streets in their nationwide protest for democracy. And tomorrow, once again, the peaceful protesters may take risks to be persecuted for their demands for free elections, freedom of speech, and human rights. And today and every day, we stand with our Belarusian friends, and we support the democratic opposition to the regime of President Lukashenka. 32 years ago, my country, then Czechoslovakia, was not a free country. So I deeply understand the aspiration with which people of Belarus look to the democratic world as a symbol of freedom and liberty, but also for much needed support. Access to information, free movement of people, the possibility to create the meaningful connections will be the crucial in the struggle for the democratic movement. And just like the West did for the Czechoslovak and other dissidents during the Cold War, the EU stands ready and supports the Belarus civil society. And I think this is what we confirm today with our declaration. The ALDE party I'm representing here is already in close contact with young liberals in Belarus, also part of the democratic movement. We in the European Parliament, together with other colleagues, have met the representatives of the Belarus democratic opposition, including Ms. Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, on numerous occasions. The European Parliament has awarded the Sakharov Prize last year to the democratic opposition, which is a symbolic recognition. It's a start. The EU has agreed sanctions on the Lukashenka regime in the hope of helping Belarus people, but we need to do more. Not just more targeted sanctions, as mentioned by Ms. Tikhanovskaya mentioned in her introductory remarks, but also international investigation of the regime's crimes and bringing the perpetrators to the justice. We simply need to do more. Before the pandemic outburst, and we have discussed this earlier, I had the honor to be a rapporteur on an important file in the European Parliament, allowing simplified travel visa procedure for Belarus people traveling to the European Union, to enable them to travel more easily and establish important connections on people-to-people basis to support the movement. And I have also called, together with my other colleagues, MEPs, on Czech universities to create a special scholarship programs for Belarus students who were denied access to university because they took part in the peaceful process. So I think we can, by simple steps like that, we can actually show the support, but also make the support somewhat concrete. 103 years ago, Belarus proclaimed independence from the Soviet Union. And I wish the democratic movement to lead the country peacefully to democracy and freedom through new democratic elections. The EU and its member states will stand with Belarus, our neighbors and our friends. And the EU is not only a symbol of freedom, it is also the support for the people to say that you are not alone. We stand with you, we stand with democratic opposition. Živě Belarus. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrei. And as you said, also concrete help is very, very important. But maybe this is separate issue. We should organize support and discuss it, but not maybe today on live transmission. The next speaker I would like to ask is Rasa Junkiewicz-Jene. Rasa?
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
Nice to see you.
I would like to say some words how important it is history for our future and for our current days. Since we are celebrating 1918 Belarus Independence Day, which is really, I think, very important inspiration for the people of today to fight for freedom. And Vilnius was very important city at that time for Lithuanians, for Polish people, for Belarus people. All those three nations wanted Vilnius to have as part of their, how to say, new established or re-established statehoods. Later in 1990, when we re-established our independence, I remember very well how important it was. People, they came from Minsk to support us, especially 91. Your members of parliament at that time, during January events, they were inside the building of parliament, being together with us, waiting attacks from Soviet troops, as well as Polish members of parliament. So in the parliament, and today, of course, I am proud that Vilnius became again important city for the fight for freedom, as well as it was before. So in European Parliament, we have remembrance group The aim of that group is to work not only speaking about the past, but the aim is history for the future. So we are discussing and we are trying to have Europe more united in understanding our histories, because it's different history which was for the people somewhere in Portugal, Spain, Italy, and for the countries like my country and your country, Belarus, because it's European nation, European statehood in a very center of Europe. It's important part of European continent, but the most suffered state or nation from both totalitarianisms. And in our resolution, which was passed in the very beginning of the term of this parliament on Ribbentrop-Molotov, it is an article about Witold Pilecki. And I would like to mention him today because his story is story which is related very much with all three nations, Belarus, Lithuania, and Poland, because he lived in the territory of Belarus, then in Vilnius, and then in Poland. Of course, he had different understanding on Lithuanian independence, but we understand this. That was our history, and opposite, we would like to commemorate him, trying to show that fight against totalitarianisms, it's very important what Belarusians are doing today. You know that he was killed by Soviets, but before he was tortured and he was in Auschwitz in Nazi, imprisoned by Nazis. So my final word is that it is impossible to live with military junta regime in the very center of Europe. And it will fail, of course. We believe on that. And that's why it's so important to be together and to fight to free all political prisoners, first of all, and of course, free and fair election. I believe that not only Belarus, but Russia itself will be free in my lifetime, because you are fighting not only for yourself, but for the people they are occupied by brutal Putin regime in Russia as well. So, Żywe Belarus, we love you, and you are doing really important job. You are not online.
Sorry, I was not connected. So I would like to thank you, Rasa, very much. It was very nice to hear these historical aspects, because our roots, of course, are mixed, are common, and our history is common, and our identity is very important, but we are in one family living, in fact of all, in this part of Europe. But I would like to ask now our friend and colleague from the other part of Europe, Viola von Kramon, is on the list. Viola, could you hear us? Yep. Are you connected? Sorry. The floor is yours, Viola.
Sorry, I'm connected. I was just trying to hide. Thanks a lot, Andrzej, and thanks to all the colleagues who have spoken before from different parts of Europe. It's really impressive, and it's so good to see us united for freedom, democracy, for civil rights. While I don't know whether you know, but we will have a little action here tomorrow. We have prepared something. I count on you. I know that some of you have already assigned.
No, it's still secret.
It's still a secret because there's some security issues. So I do not want to disclose this now, but nevertheless, I hope that will work. In a more general sense, I think it is important that we do not forget about Belarus, but that we, especially what many of our colleagues have done during the last weeks and months, really call on this amount of political prisoners, this brutality, the individuals who really suffer under this Lukashenko regime, and should not be forgotten. We have just also going on with an action on the different, we call them Patenkinder. So there's a parenthood, which many of you have taken over. And also these are little bits and pieces where we as individual members of the European Parliament show our solidarity, show our commitment, and really try to make sure that those people who were fighting and still fight for democracy, freedom, and civil and democratic rights are not being forgotten by us. We have talked about the sanctions. We are clearly for a harder, tougher, and more comprehensive list of sanctions. We will again ask for this during the next maybe plenary sessions or in the AFET committee sessions. But I think the group of people who is gathered here is clearly a big supporter for a free Belarus, and also, of course, for the release of all political prisoners, but also like a lobby group for a free Belarus in the, let's say, western part of the world. We see clearly your support now with the new administration being in office. That makes a huge difference. And I think that's also has arrived, this new wind of, let's say, change has arrived in the Kremlin. I guess that was noticed there, and that's important. We need this strong US-EU transatlantic cooperation on this issue. I can only reassure that we as Greens, I think, completely united and strong when it comes to support of all the post-Soviet countries in their endeavor and their strive for freedom. So let me just express my big respect for everything you have done, Andrzej, all the colleagues, of course, Svetlana, Franak, and all the supporters, being in exile, being in Belarus, being where Olga, of course, in Warsaw, Pavel Latushko in Warsaw. So let's stay in contact and try to get as much as we can. And hopefully, as Andrea said at the beginning, we can celebrate the next National Day or Independence Day of Belarus in freedom, what we all strive for. Thanks a lot, Andrzej, for this important initiative.
Thank you very much, Viola, and thank you for your activity and the surprise, which will be tomorrow, and the T-shirts, which I've got, very, very, very impressive. So now I have in the queue two other colleagues from western part of our Europe, some from Germany, Michael Garel and Sergei Lagodinsky. So Michael, if you are connected.
Yes, thank you very much, Andrzej.
Oh, nice to see you.
Dear colleagues, thank you very much for giving the opportunity. I think it's a very important day before Freedom Day, before the 25th of March, to put Belarus again on the agenda. And I thank you for your initiative and all colleagues who have their activities around Belarus. It is so important now that the country and the struggle doesn't get off the headlines. It must remain where it is. And I know, for instance, in my city here in Frankfurt, on Saturday, there will be again a demonstration and there will be people around. And the good thing is to find, at least in Frankfurt, there are also Ukrainians and Russians who want democracy for Russia. They are also with the Belarusians who are demonstrating for their freedom. I think that is an excellent signal that they are not alone, not only as Belarusians, but all their neighbors and their democratic friends are with them. I think we should be striving for the fourth package of sanctions and include relevant companies even more so than we have done with these 7 in the first stage. I think that is important. Also, this platform to register the perpetrators of crimes, I think that is also very important, so that they know they are registered, and when they are on the sanctions list, I would like to see each and every judge, every prosecutor, every investigator must get on this list. I was in contact with Ivan Kravtsov some weeks ago, and he got me, for instance, the names of the prosecutor and the judges and of the process against the trial against the 3 journalists and against Barbarica. I passed it on to Borrell and his services. I hope we will find these judges and prosecutors on the next package of sanctions. And step by step, this list, which is getting longer, will have a preventive effect, hopefully, on those who are the next judges and prosecutors who would either be following the law or would be following political instruction from the regime to sentence the freedom fighters. And I hope that this preventive effect will prevail. And at some point, they will come to the conclusion to say, hey, we will be automatically on the list. And in the next step, after democracy has won in Belarus, we will find ourselves in court. And I hope that this deterrence, in a way, will have a positive effect. So let us stay together. Let us continue our joint struggle for democracy in Belarus. I'm looking forward also next year in Minsk. In Israel, they say next year in Jerusalem. Let us say next year in Minsk. Żyje Belarus.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. This is one of the T-shirts I mentioned.
Yes, that is Pavel Zeviarinets.
Yeah, you have to stay and to show, because this is support for the prisoners.
Yeah.
We have to mention all the time that the prisoners has to be free.
Pavel Zeviarinets has been in prison since June and in awful conditions. We appeal, like all the other almost 300 now, they must be freed immediately. Of course, that remains on the agenda.
Sergei Lagodinsky, the next speaker. Sergei, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Andrzej, also for your tireless work on that. And I also have this T-shirt, and in my case, Viola, thank you so much for your help organizing this. This is Maxim Znak, the lawyer colleague whom I personally support and try to write a letter or a card occasionally, and also speak and talk about him, because I honestly, also on a day like this, I think about what are the specific projects, what are the specific things that we all can do to promote freedom. I see Raza is also showing another T-shirt. I cannot really recognize Yuri Ulasov. Great. This is a great action. And I wanted to maybe flag out a couple of points, and many have been mentioned, that I think are important to keep in mind. And I'm in contact with many of you on those. And of course, Viola is our lead on that issue, is the one whom we try to support from behind. The sovereignty of Belarus, I think, is an important point. We have seen various developments in that regard, and I think it would be important if the Parliament of the European Parliament also made a clear statement or one of the next resolutions on that point, because it doesn't bring us anything to find for Belarusian democracy if the Belarusian independence and sovereignty is endangered by another undemocratic regime as a neighbor. So I think we should watch this closely from our perspective. The issue of impunity is a wonderful project, and I just recently talked to some lawyers who are also prosecuted in Belarus. They also support this idea. Either for now as part of the universal jurisdiction that is already now possible, and I heard that our Baltic friends are already exploring the opportunities, or for later when the Belarusian prosecution will work. And of course, as always, it is about the support for people and for civil society. And as a member of the Board of Governors of the European Endowment for Democracy, we are watching this situation very closely, and we of course are trying to do our best, and the foundation is trying to do their best to organize support It doesn't matter what forms it takes. It's not a matter for public debates, but the support is there. And that's very, very important. And the last point, I think, something that you're doing now with this event and something that Michael mentioned and Viola is planning to do, we have to keep the topic alive and visible. Because in our days with the media, with the topics changing, with COVID being all over the media, it is so easy to forget about the silent now and silenced heroes who are in prison now, and keeping their faces on a t-shirt, even on a t-shirt, or their names alive. This is something, and bringing it to people, explaining and telling their stories on Twitter, etc., etc. This is important. And this is what we're going to be doing as well. So sanctions, yes, but the whole array of other projects that I mentioned. And of course, our deep solidarity to Svetlana, to Mr. Latushka, whom I see. You're doing the project of all of us. You're doing it for us, a project of democracy in Europe. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Sergey. What's a pity I have no my t-shirt with face of Sergey Korshun. I'm in direct contact with his family. And even small things are very important for them. Let's do that. And during the not even once in a time when we have a Freedom Day, but in daily contact, because it's very, very important. Sergey is in the prison just from the very beginning, arrested together with Svetlana Tikhanovska, husband. So could you imagine, his guilty is only the activity on internet. He was a blogger, nothing more. I think that we are with the list. We are in the end of the list of the potential speakers, but I would like to ask our Belarusian friends. Franek Wieczorka is with us. Alexander Dobrovolsky is with us. Franek would like to say.
Dziękuję, Andrzej. Thank you, everyone.
Franek, the floor is yours.
Thank you, everyone. And we are really proud to have such friends, not only in Europe, but around the world. I think the number and the quality of friends, as we can see here, this is already the great result for Belarusian movement. We are definitely passed through the very difficult path in the last 9 months, but it was very important for Belarus nation and for Belarus democracy. We never were so close to the freedom as now. There is a very small distance left, but you know the last 10 meters are the most difficult, as you know. So without your support and without the solidarity you express every day on your Twitter, in your statements, in your speeches, we will not be able to do it quickly. Definitely Lukashenka is the past. Definitely he already lost. What we have to do, we have to make sure that the transition is peaceful with no victims, and it will lead to the real change, the real transformation to democracy. It's very important to ensure that there will not be Lukashism in the future. And because what I'm really scared of, that after Lukashenka, we will have another Lukashenka and or someone else. So this is something we should think about today already. And this is also why we speak and we discuss with all of you the need of reforms for future Belarus. Because in this critical moment, as we had in the early 90s, it's very important to have plans prepared in advance. Because you know this short gap, it's crucial for the history. To summarize, you know what we discussed, what we achieved together with you, I think we moved forward in 3 tracks. One is accountability, and today we heard very good news from Copenhagen and from Geneva. The new platform was created and supported by EU member states. And UN Human Rights Council finally voted after 10 or more amendments. And the second track, elections. And this is why we called on the national voting. We hope there will be 1 million to the end of this month. But it means that, but 1 million with 98% voting for peaceful resolution of the crisis, which is extremely important and which shows the consensus within Belarus society. And the third, it's a partnership for transition. So these three letters, elections, accountability, and partnership, it's like Eastern Partnership. It sounds like the shortened Eastern Partnership, EAP. These are three tracks we have to move forward. What makes this revolution and what will make it successful? First of all, unity. And here I speak not only about unity inside of Belarus, but this is crucial. Unity between different political forces, political parties, political leaders. 7 months after elections and we're still united, which is quite miraculous and unprecedented for Belarus. And Lukashenka and Kremlin's propaganda didn't manage to divide us. Second, it's a self-organization. So no one in Minsk, in Brest or Grodno, they do not expect orders from abroad or from leaders, from whoever. Since the very beginning of this campaign in summer, they self-organized. They made posters, they made flags, they organized rallies, and we rely on this self-organization also on the international level. That that I think many of our friends around the world, they know how to help, but sometimes they just need more motivation in order to implement and to help and to support us for real. And the third, this is a peaceful character and non-violence. I think this is the third reason why this revolution will be successful, because it's uniting people. It is peaceful, it is non-violent, and it goes in the strong contrast with what regime represents: brutality, totalitarianism, disrespect of human beings. And I think with these three tracks, elections, accountability, and partnership, and with three principles, unity, self-organizations, and non-violence, we will prevail. And again, thank you for all your help. Tomorrow is the beginning of our political spring. As Poles in the 80s said, winter is yours, spring is ours. This is exactly our case. Spring will be. And tomorrow, let's celebrate together. If you can join the Solidarity campaign, you can find posters and visuals on the pages of Svetlana, of myself, on Twitter, and share or record the video, whatever, just to raise awareness and put attention to Belarus and to discuss the resolution of the crisis, to talk to your governments, partners, parliamentarians, everyone who is supporting the cause and supporting human rights and democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Franek. And this is very important information for us to disseminate this information concerning the scenario which was described, and the number of people who are attending the platform. It means that the Belarusian society is united and determined. Million people who would like to register during several days. That is a huge number of people. So congratulations for that. But for us, this is very important information to disseminate via social media, and also tomorrow to emphasize the importance. I would like to ask Alexander Dobrovolsky, or you would like to have some impressions, expectations, and also information for us? Alexander?
Hello, everyone. I'm very glad to see you all. Dziękuję bardzo, panie przewodniczący. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My speech will be very short because I have almost nothing to add to Franek's speech. I understand, and we all of us understand that our destiny is in our hands, and it's our responsibility to make our country democratic. At the same time, we appreciate international solidarity, and we are happy to have such friends as you are. Together, we can do it, and let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is anybody who would like to add, to speak? I cannot see. I don't see any.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrews.
Yeah, Andrzej. Before we are coming to, as I understand, to the end, really thanks a lot for your chairing all the meeting. I would like really to thank also, we know who did all the event, Blažej, Ramonas, Katya, that's, those are people who did all the job. Really, I think this was a great event. I have also T-shirt of Artyom Sorokin. Yeah, the young doctor who witnessed that Roman Bondarenko was not drunken during when he was killed, and for that reason he was sentenced, to the prison as a political prisoner. So I would call, Artyom Sorokin one of those, who could be called warriors of the light. And since we are celebrating, revolution, and we are celebrating Independence Day of Belarus, and the Belarusian revolution is not possible to imagine without rock songs, we offer, Jonas is ready to show, one of those songs from Bruto Wojny Świata, which, if to translate, it's exactly, warriors of light, or I can translate even, warriors of Svetlana. So please listen to one of that songs, and that is perhaps, the last event, and maybe Andrzej Zan will say a few words.
It is very nice
Quality
to hear this.
will not be the best one, as Jonas announced, as but perhaps we shall get.
Let's have this final. It is a wonderful idea to hear the song. And I also would like to thank Katarina, Ramonas, and Blažej, of course, and all of you. I would like to thank you for the participation and being together, and great respect. But we are for help to support your efforts. I'm talking to our Belarusian friends. Long live Belarus. Żyje Belarus.
Żyje.